Hey there, it's time for Proverbs Every Day. You are in the right place. I will see you soon. We're just going to have some music while we wait for people to come on live, and we'll see you soon.
Wisdom whispers in the wind. Folly screams with twisted grin. Walking straight or spinning round. What you seek is what you found. Kind words heal the weary soul. Hatred makes a mighty whole. Hard work brings a fruitful land. Laziness dissolves the sand. Seek truth, love, where the light resides. Turn away from hurtful lies. Walk with honor, rise each day. Follow love and you'll find your way. Gentle hand turns wrath aside. Harsh words spark the fiercest tide. Honesty, a beacon bright. Lies dissolve in darkest night. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way, bringing you a chapter each calendar day. Proverbs every day.
welcome to Proverbs Every Day. My name is DJ, and this month we've been reading. This is February. It's a little weird. Bear with me, but we've been reading from the Holman Christian Standard Bible, and I'll be doing Proverbs 12 today, even though it's the 11th of February. Just how we're rolling right this short month. So I'm going to pray for you, and we'll get started. Father God, thank you so much for another day that we can gather and just embrace your wisdom. And Father, on a personal note, I just thank you for this being a day of surrounding me with others that are pouring into my life, and how much just looking at my calendar, how much of that is going on today, and for that to be a theme on a Tuesday where I'm getting up earlier than I want to, and all these kind of things, that is something that is allowing that and making that possible. So Father, I thank you for that, and I do pray that as we read today, that we may be a virtual blessing to one another, that we can encourage each other in building up your kingdom in terms of living in wisdom that's already there, and we're embracing it. So Father, we thank you for that, and we ask this time be blessed in your son's name. Amen. Awesome. Let's dive right into Proverbs 12. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but one who hates correction is stupid. Let's go ahead and just highlight that. It's saying it like it is. It's just really saying, if you've gotten this far and you still hate correction, well, it's just willful, isn't it? You know, and you're just being stupid. The person who obtains favor from the Lord, but he condemns a man who schemes. And schemes is something where, honestly, this pops up in weird ways, in terms of, like, there's those who plan and those who just try to make their way around it and find an angle. Yeah. Verse 3: Man cannot be made secure by wickedness, but the root of the righteous is immovable. A capable wife is her husband's crown, or a wife of quality, or a wife of good character is her husband's crown. But a wife who causes shame is like rottenness in his bones. I like that. It's just a cool thing to be proud of your wife, and yeah, it fills me with joy. I can brag about my wife all the time. I love it. Verse 5: The thoughts of the righteous are just, but guidance from the wicked leads to deceit. Verse 6: The words of the wicked are a deadly ambush, but the speech of the upright rescues them. The wicked are overthrown and perish, but the house of the righteous will stand. A man is praised for his insight, but a twisted mind is despised. You know, it's odd that we're living in a culture that doesn't always praise insight. Um, but generally speaking, I think that is proving out to be true. That insights are actually we're I was yeah, I was just thinking about this morning, that um, there are some rather major platforms that are shifting away from kind of foolish talk and things like that, and actually getting into some substance. A lot of like really well-known podcasts, for example, and things like that that are embracing kind of the maybe this other stuff doesn't actually make sense. Maybe that's from a twisted mind, and so they're actually basically praising insightfulness and things that are actually productive in that way. And so as much as we're in a fallen world and all that kind of stuff, I find myself encouraged. Just right before the broadcast, I was watching something on this and realizing that's like, this is a person that was really just all about being foolish and whatever, and it's just like very popular because of this. And now he's got like millions of listeners every time he does something. But honestly, it's the ones where he brings somebody on that's actually thinking about stuff and actually willing to talk about it and have a conversation about things. Those are the people that are basically being praised at this point. And so we're seeing a shift, and I think that's a healthy thing, that we're actually not just doing silly things or just preaching rhetoric, but we're actually having insightful discussions and that sort of thing, and saying, okay, let's challenge these things and see why they make sense or don't make sense, that sort of thing. So anyway, just an encouragement out there that there's a resurgence of thought that is coming, and so that's a very encouraging thing. Verse 9: better to be dishonored yet have a servant than to act important but have no food. A righteous man cares about his animal's health, but even the merciful acts of the wicked are cruel. I just applied a salve to Thor's neck, so that's just my righteousness for the day. uh, yeah, poor guy, poor guy. Verse 11: the one who works his land will have plenty of food, but whoever chases fantasies lacks sense. I was just remarking this morning in a mastermind I'm part of that this just keeps coming up. This whole, the one who works his land will have plenty of food. It's a theme here. It's that, and honestly, you can kind of see that this is something where if it's a um, instructing a child that is of privilege, like a king's son, for example, that would be easy just to look past all this. But those constant reminders that it's just like, no, you need to be putting in some work here. It's not just you're having all this stuff just given to you. In fact, right here, better to be dishonored yet have a servant than act important but have no food. It's that whole twist of the knife a little bit. It's like you don't don't find yourself acting important but you're not, that sort of thing. Yeah. Do the work. Verse 12: the wicked desire what evil men have. Let's see a footnote on this one. Or they desire a stronghold of evil. Okay. But the root of the righteous produces fruit. So on one hand, they want what other people have, and on the other hand, you're producing fruit. Verse 13: an evil man is trapped by his rebellious speech, but a righteous one escapes from trouble. A man will be satisfied with good by the words of his mouth, and the work of a man's hands will reward him. So you see that again. Verse 15: a fool's way is right in his own eyes, but whoever listens to counsel is wise. Hmm. And again, I mentioned during the prayer here that I'm actually excited to get into a new mastermind this morning. Actually, after this call, I'll be at broadcast, whatever. I'll be getting into that, and I'm excited to meet some new guys that I'll be doing life with, and they're biblically centered. They're literally in this place, but I am letting them know in advance that I'm calling them my war council. that they're my board of directors, I guess you could say. They're my people that are going to be that I'm believing for pouring wisdom in my life as I step into more leadership. That it's really important for me to actually have counsel of the wise. Otherwise, I get caught up in my own. I guess you could say pride, but that a fool's way is right in his own eyes. That can become us. That can become me, and so that's why it's highlighted in green here on the screen. Is that it's really important for this to be a verse for me. It's a reminder to me. Verse 16: A fool's displeasure is known at once, but whoever ignores an insult is sensible. Whoever speaks the truth declares what is right, but a false witness deceit. Yeah. Verse 18: There is one who speaks rashly, like a piercing sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. So there is one thing. It comes up a lot, and we don't really have a good explanation in all the cross references we've tried so far. It's um, it's not always well explained what there is one means specifically. It's the best I can do with this is to say that it's a counterpoint. It's saying, yeah, there's somebody like that, but don't be like that. Or other people are like this, be like this, sort of thing. It's those contrasts. It's that. Well, like I say, it's the truth in the in between. It's where it's at is that it's right in between there, and you see the extremes. Like I'm saying things like that. Right? So if you see the extremes on either end, one who speaks rashly, tongue of the wise brings healing. Right? You have those things in the middle, or as boundaries, and they're in this case they're pretty tight boundaries, and so we want to be right in the middle of those boundaries. That's what freedom is. Freedom is having the knowledge and the ability to exist in those spaces in between those two boundaries, and we know where the boundaries are, so we freely know where we can be in between. So that's what freedom actually is. It's not just being able to do whatever you want whenever you want. Freedom is knowing exactly where you need to be and having that confidence that you can live in that in between. Yes, I say that a lot, but I think it needs to be said a lot. Verse 19: Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue, only a moment. Verse 20: Deceit is in the hearts of those who plot evil, but those who promote peace have joy. No disaster overcomes the righteous, but the wicked are full of misery. Lying lips are detestable to the Lord, but faithful people are his delight. A shrewd person conceals knowledge, but a foolish heart publicizes stupidity. I don't think we've seen it phrased like that before. That's very interesting. The publicizes stupidity. I like that. That's really what it does. It's just like it's so obvious to everybody else that it's just like you might as well put it in print and distribute it to everybody you see. So, but that notion of it being a shrewd person that conceals knowledge, shrewd is usually seen as a negative word in our society, but when it comes to being wise, uh, shrewd is that purposeful holding back. It's not just being stoic necessarily, but knowing exactly when to speak and that sort of thing. So shrewd being purposeful. And so that's just a distinction to note there is that that is someone who is concealing knowledge not in a bad way. They are not braggadocious about it. They are waiting for the times to talk about it in the right kind of way. Instead of saying they know something, they are in a lot of cases waiting for that to be an opportunity or a were asked about it. They're waiting to be asked. I find that to be true of a lot of folks that have a lot of success in their life. They're just sitting there waiting for someone to ask them how they did it because they don't want to go out and talk about it. They don't want to be, know, publicizing it to the world. They don't want to start a YouTube channel on it. They just really they're doing their thing. And if somebody wants to know, they're open to it. But so that's what being shrewd means. Just to clarify that part. Getting a lot of bonuses today. I hope you guys are getting your money's worth out of this. Verse 24, the diligent hand will rule, but laziness will lead to forced labor. That, as in being, you will become forced labor. But a lot of times, actually, we were just talking about this morning, and I think it's relative. It's important to know that there's a difference between being overly busy and being lazy. But when we break it down, a lot of times they're really close together, really close. In fact, sometimes they are literally neck and neck. A lot of times you're busy because you've been lazy previously, and so I talk about the parable of talents a lot. Obviously, channel we call 11 talents and all. But this is one of those areas where I I see some language in the parable of talents that is, I think, really important to say right now, and that is that the person who is given 5 talents to manage, several $1 million worth of wealth to manage, that person that's given 5 talents immediately went out and started working with it, started investing, started. I presume that there's an assumption that it's not just simply there's no stock market back then. He didn't go just invest in the stock market. No, he put that money to work. And so that meant, getting others involved too and that sort of thing. And then the person who was given 2 talents saw what the person with 5 talents did and went out and did the same thing. And so they may not have been necessarily self-motivated to be first, but we see that they also did. In other words, they did the diligent hand thing. They were actually right, there with him saying, let's go to work. Let's make this a thing that works. But the 1 talent, I call it the 1 talent slave, because that person's laziness kept them or led them into forced labor. They were not somebody who was inspired to be better, to make things grow. They were someone who was convinced that it was, somebody else's gain, and that it was not he wasn't okay with causing someone else to have gain. You know, my master reaps where he doesn't sow. So I'm just gonna just bury this in the ground and just hang out for a bit and just wait for him to come back, and at least he won't have lost anything. That's laziness. And that's what keeps you a slave. If you are in that place, if you are in the place of being lazy all the time, that's the kind of thing that keeps you a slave. Do I hate to be so harsh about it? No. No, I'm done being soft about this. I'm tired of seeing people in slavery because they are so convinced that the world is against them, that they can't get ahead, that they honestly just see the world as being just exploiting them, and that there's no way for them to get ahead without doing like scheming things like we saw earlier in the chapter. I'm so tired of this. It needs to stop. And honestly, we need to stop being encouraging slave labor to be happening, even though it's not technically slave labor like we think it is. You can be a slave to your own laziness. You can be a slave to your own thought processes, and it needs to stop. We need to be people that are diligent. We need to be people that are getting up and going and doing the work and making it happen and being happy about it because of it. That's what we need to be. Yeah. I hope that convicts someone. I hope that appropriately offends someone today because, yeah, that's just where you need to be. You'll never not, well, you'll never be successful otherwise. That's just the truth of it. You're never going to inherit success. It doesn't happen that way. Mm, mhm, mhm. Verse 25. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs it down, but a good word cheers it up. True. And a lot of that anxiety is caused from what we just said. That constant like feeling that everything's stacking up and you just have all this stuff. And it's from that sense of laziness that was allowed to creep into your life. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's your good word. Verse 26. A righteous man is careful in dealing with his neighbor, or a man guides his neighbor. Hmm. I kind of wish they would have translated it like that. I like that notion of a man guides his neighbor. Just that whole being willing to lead them. Because the next verse here says, the next part of the verse is, "But the ways of the wicked lead them astray." And so that careful in dealing, I think, would probably, in context, translate to um, leading his neighbor, not or guides his neighbor, because the ways of the wicked lead them astray. I, I kind of wish they would have done it that way, but that's okay. And here we go. What I was just saying, a lazy man doesn't roast his game, but to a diligent man, his wealth is precious. Oh, yes. There is a life in the path of righteousness, but another path leads to death. Righteousness, and in its path there is no death, is another way to say that. So again, we see that whole like another path leads to death. We don't know what is the other path. What is that? We don't know. It's not said right here. It's the same thing as like there is one who, it's a very very similar kind of pattern of thinking here. But there's life in the path of righteousness. I don't know if other translations actually say life in the path of righteousness. I kind of like that way to say it. Yeah, honestly. Actually, just in general, I'm curious to read more from this translation. I've not really read it before, so this is a first for me, and I've been enjoying it. I don't know if you guys have as well, but so I think yeah, my friends Tina and Rich, I think, gave me the suggestion for this particular translation, if I recall correctly, and I'd never tried it before. So this is actually this has been really fun to me to have a translation that's actually not having those moments of pause for me, but of saying, "Wait a minute, I'm not having those moments as often." So that's been fun for me to go through it like this and to say, "Yep, yep, yep." So anyway, no translation is perfect because it's not possible. That's why we do multiples of them. But yeah, this has been an enjoyable time for me, I guess you could say, in that regards. But in any case, y'all, it's been Great to be with you another day. Um, Let me put on this is Proverbs 12, so it's always I want to play this particular song for you as we go out. Be blessed,
Wisdom
steadfast,
whispers in the wind.
and then go be a blessing to all the rest. Love you guys, and we'll see you again
Folly
tomorrow.
screams with twisted grin. Walking straight or spinning round. What you seek is what you found. Kind words heal the weary soul. Hatred makes a mighty whole. Hard work brings a fruitful land. Laziness dissolves the sand. Seek truth where the light resides. Turn away from hurtful lies. Walk with honor, rise each day. Follow love and you'll find your way. Gentle hand turns wrath aside. Harsh words spark the fiercest tide. Honesty a beacon bright. Lies dissolve in darkest night. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way, bringing you a chapter each calendar day. Proverbs every day. Proverbs every day. Seek truth where the light resides. Turn away from hurtful lies. Walk with honor, rise each day. Follow love and you'll find your way. Gentle hand turns wrath aside. Harsh words spark the fiercest tide. Honesty a beacon bright. Lies dissolve in darkest night. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way, bringing you a chapter each calendar day. Proverbs every day. Proverbs every day. Seek truth where the light resides. Turn away from hurtful lies. Walk with honor, rise each day. Follow love and you'll find your way. Love knowledge, love discipline. Reject rebuke, don't be stupid kin. Rise up and roast your game. Laziness will rob you of the same. Read a proverb every day. Let words of wisdom guide the way. Rise up and roast your game. Laziness will rob you of the same. Read a Proverbs